Bert Show.
If you guys want to join us and you got a question for Andrea, or you know what, I know that there are some of you guys, I see you online, that are defending R. Kelly, and you think that this is just a setup. 1-855-BERT Show. I was watching last night, and there were a couple of journalists saying that they felt, they were black journalists, female journalists, saying that it was so disheartening to hear people say that people are trying to set up R. Kelly when R. Kelly is doing this to young black girls, right? It was so disheartening to hear that. Like, who's setting them up?
Yeah, there was one part of the documentary, too, because I do feel like race is important to talk about. And a man said, you know, after the trial, because he was acquitted on all charges, those 14 child pornography charges, and then the sex tape of the 14-year-old that everybody knows about. Nothing, he walked off, walked away scot-free. And somebody pointed out, they were all, black girls that this happened to, young black girls. Well, if it was young white girls, would there have been a different outcome?
Yeah, I saw that last night as I was watching, and that was so difficult for me to try to answer as a white dude, because here's where my privilege comes in. I could say it would have no difference to me, but I'm a white guy. So, Mo, as a black dude, when you're watching this, it's probably going to have a very different impact on you than it would me.
Especially having sisters.
Exactly, 100%. I mean, it's unfortunate, and you really do have to. It's no way around it. I think it would be completely different if it was young white girls. I really do. I think it would, honestly, I think it would only take one, in that instance where this man would have had to face some charges, and it's so many. I mean, how could you possibly think that he's being set up? Lifetime did such a great job of really documenting everything and putting it right in your face and giving you perspective of all that he's done, and people will still defend him, and I do think it makes a difference.
Yeah, Davi, did you watch it?
I'm at episode 3. I put on 4 last night, and I was just in too much of a funk already.
Yeah.
I was like 10 minutes in. I was like, I can't do this right now. It's so emotional, and it makes you sick to see these women crying over and over again. And I don't know how you could look into those eyes and say, they're just trying to get a book deal. Like, they're just trying to tell their story to anybody that will listen, because this guy has been grooming and picking women off playgrounds since they were 14.
I mean, even Chance the Rapper, who said, that he didn't believe it a lot because it was black women. This is a man who has a black wife and a black mom.
Right.
And even he said that.
It's painful to watch. It really is. And there are so many different levels to it. Obviously, there's the child pornography angle to it. There's a domestic violence angle that I was watching, and it was answering so many questions for me, because I think if you haven't been in that situation before, you want to naively say, well, why don't you just leave? It's just not that easy. It's way more complicated than that. Andrea Kelly, R. Kelly's ex, joins us right now. Hi.
Hi.
Thanks for coming in this morning.
Thank you for having me.
And can I establish real quick, because, we know your story. We've all watched the Lifetime docuseries Surviving R. Kelly, and I just want you to know that this is a welcoming studio. We know that you have suffered from PTSD, and we just want to make sure that, this is a very tough topic we're going to talk about. We know it's important to talk about, and we know it's important to talk about, which is why we're here and why you are here. And so I applaud your courage and just want you to know that this is an accepting studio that's going to just be asking tough questions.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Well, again, thanks for coming. I want to start at the very beginning, right? The very, very beginning, because my knee-jerk reaction in the beginning was, because you were married to this man for, 13 years?
Well, we were together 13 years, married almost 10.
Together 13 years. So before you guys even got together, just as you started dabbling, I mean, you certainly must have known about his history, right? His history with Aaliyah, being 15 years old when they married. You must have heard some of the rumors about his attraction to younger women. Did you not hear any of that before you got married or hooked up with the guy?
Here's the thing. People don't understand that I didn't just meet Robert and we got married. He was actually my boss. I'd worked for him. So during the era of Aaliyah, I was just his dancer and his choreographer. I actually had a fiance. I was engaged to be married, living my own life. So again, he's just my boss at that time. His personal life is his personal life. That's his business. I mean, just like the rest of us, we don't go to our boss's house and go, so, hey, what are you doing in your bedroom? That's none of my business. So I think that people don't have that understanding that we weren't even connected romantically during that time. I was just an employee of his. The dancers, we were also in separate hotels. We had our separate bus. So what he did in his private life, he made sure he kept that separate from his business world.
Can I follow up with that for just 1 second?
Yes.
Because there were so many people, and Kristen's right, you're in a welcoming room, but I have to ask real questions. While I'm watching this special, there are so many people that were also hired by R. Kelly that really knew what was going on. But you're saying even as a dancer up there on stage with him, you had no idea what was going on beforehand. You didn't know anything about Aaliyah, nothing.
And, I said that in the documentary. I don't know if you guys saw that part. I said, as a wife, like, did he have a doppelganger? What is going on? And it became reality to me the way you can do it. It's facilitated because you have a team of people helping you. There's no way that you can be in the studio here, going picking up people from the airport, putting them in hotels, going to see them, come back, see your kids. Like, how can you do all of this? And it became a reality to me that, oh, he's not alone in what he's doing. That's how it's happening.
Do you want to hold those people accountable too who help to facilitate his behavior?
I do, but I'm not judge, jury, or God. So at the end of the day, I always say that's between three things in this world: God, karma, and the grave. I cannot say. I just speak up because I'm a survivor. And I really wanted to bring validity to these women's voices after being away from him almost a decade. And then to hear someone tell the same story that happened to me 10 years previous to that. We don't even know each other. There's no way for us to make these stories up. There's no way for us to get in cahoots and say, okay, now, DREA, you say this happened back in 98. And I'm going to say this happened in 2013. Like, it really struck a chord with me that somebody has to stand up and say, these women are not lying because it happened to me.
And the thing that crushes me is we've known about this for what seems like forever. So why now? Why this moment in time do you think it's happening? And it's now at the forefront, and that people are finally paying attention to what you and these other women are saying.
Well, let me go back to saying at the end of the day, and we have to be really real with ourselves, because we're women of color in America. We're lowest on the totem pole. Let's be real about it. Because if my name was Amber Lynn, he wouldn't have gotten 6 months, 2 months. One day, her parents would have called, and that would have been over with. Let's be very real about that. Secondarily to that, people have a very difficult time separating the person and the persona. We want to believe the persona so much, the celebrity part of him, that he's in, he has no flaws. He's this great singer. We see the cars and the videos, so we get caught in the fairy tale that we forget behind that persona is a person. And unfortunately, his person is flawed. It is a monster. It is hard to deal with. So some people want to turn a blind eye because I don't want to believe the same person that sings I Believe I Can Fly is the same person who abused his wife. So I'm going to stay neutral and just say, I'm out of it. That's him. And again, if it doesn't affect you, that's just how we are as human beings. And it's sad that we don't have that community feel anymore, that what happens to one happens to all until it hits close to home. Then everybody wants to get involved. Even with celebrities, like I say, I'm really upset about it. And I don't care if they're mad at me. Me Too movement, John Legend, all these people want to come out. Don't support us when it's trending. Okay. Women are losing their lives every minute, every second of every day. That's why my initiative is Domestic Violence Awareness 365. You're not helping me because you want to lend a voice because it's trending. If it's something that you felt and you feel this strongly, why didn't you say it before we did the documentary? I've been talking about this since I've been on Hollywood X's. No one ever reached out to me. No Me Too movement, no mute R. Kelly. And they're saying, well, now, why are you saying it now? No, I said this almost 10 years ago.
And you can
no
find
one paid
it.
Attention.
And it's so easy to find. And that was I'm so glad it's happening. And I'm so glad these voices are finally being heard. But at the same time, it's so heartbreaking because these voices have always been out there.
Yeah. Yeah. But you have to understand, too, where there's money, there's power. When you have police officers that work for you on duty and off duty, when you have a team of attorneys, when you have judges in your pocket, It's easy to get swept away. It's easy to say, oh, it's a money grab. It's easy to, discount these victims and make it seem like it's about money. People have even said that about me. Like, I didn't say anything because I got money. Now she's saying something because she wants money. You can't put a price tag on my soul. And it's actually the opposite. What made me leave was the fact that you had so much money that you thought that you could abuse me, and it came with a price for me to be quiet.
This is DREA Kelly. This is R. Kelly's ex-wife. As we focus on the domestic violence here for just 1 second, you said that there was a period there of 3 years that you guys were dating before you got married.
Yeah.
Do you remember the very first time, or were there hints that, okay, this is not something that I should be in, but you went and you got married anyway because of domestic violence happened before you got married?
Well, I would say for me, it wasn't odd behavior, and I think people need to get to the root of their tree. The first time I ever saw a man beat a woman was my grandfather, and he was a Baptist preacher. And it isn't so much what my grandfather did that changed me. It's what my grandmother didn't do. She got up the next day and made breakfast for this man like nothing ever happened. So I grew up in a household where you're seeing abuse and it becomes normal. So now I'm in a situation with Robert. His behavior isn't alarming to me, because if a man of the cloth does it, of course a man of the world does it. So you being controlling, I'm like, oh, my grandfather was controlling. Oh, you being verbally abusive. Okay, he means to tell my grandmother stupid. Okay, emotional, I get it. Financial, I get it. So when you're in it, you don't think it's ever going to happen to me. You're just thinking, oh, okay, this is how this thing goes. Because
that's your normal.
That's your normal.
That's your normal.
So being in it, a lot of people do ask that question, like, well, when you saw it, why weren't you out? Why didn't you just leave? You have to understand his behavior wasn't something that was not normal to me.
Anybody that says that is speaking from a place of privilege, that they have never experienced that. They couldn't understand. Why couldn't you just walk away? It's not that easy.
Yeah, well, even now, financially, I'm being abused. He stopped paying child support as of June. When I came out and told my story, that was the last time he paid child support. Because again, you can't abuse me physically. I'm not there. You can't abuse me emotionally. We don't have any contact with one another. But he knows that financially and economically, I can withhold money because I know that puts her in financial strains. So it's another form of abuse. So people don't understand, even leaving, where am I going?
Let's talk about the money situation here for just 1 second. And there's so many layers to this that it's very difficult to try to talk about in some kind of chronological order. So forgive me if we're just kind of all over the place, right? This is your life, so you know it. This was a question that I got from a listener yesterday to pass on to you. Has the Fulton County Police Department got in touch with her concerning issuing a warrant for R. Kelly's arrest due to non-payment for child support?
Well, it wouldn't be Fulton County. Ours is in Chicago.
Okay. Have they come back?
No, they have not. And the thing, we had a court date. We went to court, and guess what they tell you? Oh, yeah, we see here where he owes it. Okay, and then you need to try and get him served. Next.
Yep.
That's it.
That's it.
Wow. Just like that.
Just like that.
He's also real good at pushing those court dates, too.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I've had them pushed off. I've gone. Like when I tell you the extent that you go to as a woman in the court systems when you're trying to fight, I feel like they just leave us out to the wolves.
They really do. Even
really do.
If you're going for child support, or even like to hide from a stalker, if you're reporting someone, they're like, to serve him with these papers, you have to stalk them.
Yeah.
You have to know exactly where they are. You have to know every one of at least 5 places they could be for this to be delivered.
Yes.
And you have to know everything about them. So you have to be close to this person in order to get a restraining order against them.
It's crazy.
It's not helpful at all.
It's not. And it's the same thing for child support. They pretty much tell you, yeah, we know that he owes. Yeah, we know he was abusive, but you need to go get him served.
We're going to break here in just 1 second. But before we do, let me ask you this question. Everything finally lines up, and R. Kelly is in some courtroom, and they say guilty, and he's going to go to jail. Is that a happy day for you?
I wouldn't say a happy day, but I would say justice would be served. At the end of the day, they're sending R. Kelly to prison for the rest of the world. That's the father of my children going to prison. So
how
now my
would
children have to deal with that.
How would that make you feel as the mother of their children? How conflicted will you be on that day? Because I'm convinced it's going to happen.
Like I said, it wouldn't be so much conflicted because it is what it is. You did it, go to jail. I have no sympathy or empathy when it comes to that at all. Like, you're not going to get a tear about that one. That is just difficult for my children. The mother in me, my heart breaks because it's very difficult. He has no relationship with his children now. He doesn't call them. He changed his phone number. We don't have that phone number. My children don't have. Like, what dad does that? But that's him. At the end of the day, I don't know, what do you tell your children about a man? Like, they call him Robert Sr. They don't call him Dad because he's so disconnected from his children. I don't know what that day is going to be like. I don't know if they're going to be like, hey, you can't miss what you never had, or are they going to feel like now we've lost an opportunity for anything that could have been.
Now, he's been quoted as saying you brainwashed the kids. They want to, I did a song, or I produced a song for, I think, your daughter a couple of years ago. They want to be in contact with them, but you've brainwashed them.
You can't brainwash actions. I don't need to say a bad word about you. Your actions show my children who you are to them. At the end of the day, this is the second time he stopped paying child support for me speaking up about domestic violence. So what that says to a child is you don't even care enough about my quality of life that you would go to this extent to punish my mother that I would suffer. I don't have to tell my children. He did.
Do you think that day will come, that R. Kelly will see the inside of a jail cell?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so, too. All right, Andrea Kelly, R. Kelly's ex, joining us on The Bert Show. We'll spend some more time with her here in just 1 second.
The Bert Show.